Nick, you want to give your review of Scream?
Okay, so my review of Scream 6. So, full disclosure, I'm a massive, massive, massive Scream fan. Even when we were talking about the whole franchise, even though I've had misgivings about Scream 3 and I still think that movie is the weakest in the franchise, I don't think there is a bad Scream movie. I have issues with a few of the sequels, especially Scream 3, of course, and I have issues with Scream 5, which is a movie I still love. But I think every single one is kind of like this perfect encapsulation of the state of the horror genre. And so much more than Scream 6, which is the return of directors Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, who are collectively known as Radio Silence, who directed the excellent film Ready or Not a couple years ago. And we have the returning cast from the previous film. We have Melissa Barrera, Sam Carpenter, who is revealed to be Billy Loomis's daughter. You have the return of Jenna Ortega, of Jasmine Savoy Brown, and Mason Goodings, as they are dubbed in this film the Core Four, the surviving cast from Scream 5. And we also have some returning legacy characters, like with Courtney Cox's Gale Weathers, who I didn't realize it until I heard it in the trailer. This is the first time that Gale actually talks to Ghostface, which I think is really cool that we were getting that. And of course, the return of Hayden Panettiere as Kirby Reed, who became a fan favorite in, I think, an underappreciated sequel in Scream 4. And I was so happy that they revealed that she was alive, which was in an Easter egg in the last movie. Where I think Scream is at its best when it dances that line between comedy and horror. Because even though as violent, as brutal as Scream movies can get, they can also be very funny. And that's something that we talk about when we talked about stuff like Black Dynamite, stuff like Undercover Brother in Shaun of the Dead. You have to function within the genre you're parodying in order to be in a decent parody. And every single Scream movie, even though they are going into that meta narrative about horror tropes and kind of winking at your audience, I think the strength of it is that they are all still effective slashers. And I think this is probably the best, just purely on a slasher movie in terms of its violence and its gore. This is the meanest motherfucking Ghostface in the entire. They are bringing that goddamn New York Timberlanded up Black Air Force energy to Ghostface. Because these Ghostface is fucking mean.
Yeah. I did a review this past week with Marley, and me and him talked about it. And yeah, we mentioned it. I was like, when they stab, they stab. I mean, it's brutal.
Yeah, Ghostface is stabbing people like they owe him money. They're stabbing us like, hey, I'm stabbing it.
And then, I also mentioned with Marley that how they use the setting of it being in Manhattan, the New York setting, how you have like the subway scene, I thought was very good. The bodega scene was very good. Yeah.
Yes, where I thought one of the weaknesses of the last movie was kind of this lack of set pieces, which is really iconic in the Scream franchise. Something that sticks out are the scenes of Sidney Prescott getting chased throughout various locations by Ghostface and seeing, Ghostface kind of get his ass whooped, get shit thrown at him and him getting knocked down and then having to keep running. And I thought they did an excellent job of bringing that back here, especially in the set pieces we mentioned, like the opening, like the bodega scene, which I think is an excellent bit of tension building. I think that's something that Radio Silence excels with this franchise, is the scenes of tension building. I know that a lot of people kind of have complaints in the last movie, like with the constant fake out jump scares with the death of Dylan Minette's character, but it worked for me. And I think that they did a massive improvement in this film. And something else that I think is a huge improvement over the last movie is I think the chemistry of the core four and all of the cast is so much better here, where the last movie I thought we didn't really get to feel that sense of rapport between the newer cast. It really didn't pick up until we got the introduction of Dewey, and then Sydney and Gale came back in. Here, I think it's much better, especially with the chemistry and interaction between the core four. Melissa Barrera, she's returning here, and she is given much more to do and given a much more complex lead character. Jenna Ortega, she's phenomenal in this movie. Mason Gooding, he gets a lot more to do, and so does Jasmine Savoy Brown outside of just being the new Randy stand-in.
Yeah, that was one thing I liked, because I liked the 6 better than the 5th one. I wasn't really as big on the 5th one as maybe some other people were. I think, like you mentioned, I feel like the cast is more, the characters are more into their own in this one than there was in the previous one. I think they most stand on their own. I did like the chemistry a lot better, especially, like you said, from Mason Gooding as Chad, who's like this protector guy of all of them. Like, I think, especially a guy who I thought was such a nothing character in the last one. I think they give him a little bit something to do here. Even though they turned that brother into a pincushion. They did it in the last movie. They did it into this movie. They just like to stab the shit out of that dude. I was like, wow, okay.
We saw the dude cut. You got to think those muscles are like helping out somewhat.
Yeah. By the way, this is a spoiler discussion, spoiler talk we are doing for Scream 6 that we're doing, and what we want to see maybe from Scream 7, because this is getting good reviews. I think it's doing pretty well at the box office. So that potentially they are going to do a Scream 7. I think you can.
I think currently on Rotten Tomatoes it's sitting at a 76, which I think might be the highest since the highest of a Scream movie since maybe 2.
And I wonder how much has it made in the box office. Let me see.
Current box office has a worldwide total after 1 week is 67 million.
And let me see what the budget was.
Budget 30 to 33 to 35 is what Wikipedia.
Okay, yeah, 35 million. So, yeah, it'll probably edge up, come close to 100 million, maybe around 90 million, somewhere around that territory. So, probably do pretty good. So, I think a 7-1, you could say, pretty much is coming there. Getting into spoiler talk. So, like I said, we are going to spoil it, who the killer is, everything like that. So, it turns out, spoiler alert, the killer turns out to be the cop. It turns out to be Dylan Minnette, who I remember every time I think of that.
It's Dermot Mulroney.
Dermot
Mulroney, who's playing Wayne Bailey, along with, and this is a first for the franchise, 3 killers.
Okay, that's a first for the franchise. Okay.
Yep. We also have his daughter Quinn, who's played by Liana Otto, and of course Ethan, who's played by Jack Champion, who we just saw in Avatar: Way of Water. Who, damn, I guess the dude finally took acting lessons in between shoots.
And it's funny because I always mix up that dude who's the cop, because it was like that running joke, like people mix him up with Dylan.
Yeah, it's either Dylan McDermott or Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah, people mix it up. Yeah, I think he did I think it was like a joke somewhere on SNL or something where he even confused his own name, and then he was like, "Oh shit, I've been having sex with another man's wife this whole time. I never knew." Yeah, so yeah, you have that. So it's 3 killers, a family set of family killers, where you have a father and his 2 kids.
They're getting revenge for Sam killing Richie in the last movie, who he's revealed to be Dermot's son.
Yeah. Were you able to guess the killer?
I was kind of on my toes. I feel like something that this franchise does really well is kind of playing it close to the vest in terms of the killers, because that's something that worked so well in Scream 1, to where it was so obvious that it's like it's so simple that it would kind of be like a twist if it wasn't Billy or Stu. But here I thought it was played really well. There are a couple acting choices, because I saw the movie twice. There are a couple acting choices that Mulroney has whenever he's like supposedly looking at his daughter's body. And something felt a little bit off when I saw it the first time. And then rewatching it, I realized, oh, it's because he's an actor trying to be a bad actor.
Interesting. Okay.
Because he is in on it. And that is something that I think this movie does really well, is every single Scream movie, I think, they get better when you rewatch them once you know the killer, and you can kind of pick apart the tics of certain actors as they're doing these scenes. Especially because the most obvious one was Jack Champion as the shady, kind of nerdy film student who happens to be Chad's roommate.
Yeah. Chill said his daughter was the only one who not stabbed on Screen 2. He just threw her ass.
There you go.
Yeah. Very good observation.
And yeah, that was like a scene, that entire scene in the apartment where I think you see it in a trailer where they're like trying to cross between balconies and through a ladder. That scene is fucking amazing. And speaking to the improvements of the supporting cast, even the victims that we get in this, especially Annika, who's playing Mindy's girlfriend in this, her death scene is tragic. It's very intense.
Yeah. Because some people, you can look at this movie, you know that they not probably gonna make it. And Annika was one. I mean, she was fine, but I was like, yeah, you ain't making it.
And which, even in retrospect, to having rewatched that movie, it gets even more tragic because one of Minnie's last words to her were, "Don't trust the love interest." That's fucking heavy.
And then Chill said that scene was funny. He said Chad upset me with his squabbles. Yeah, I liked a lot of like the stuff they did more in this one with the sister dynamic, Tara and Sam. Of Tara, you have Jenna Ortega's character, who she's like, I'm trying to move on. I don't want to be just known as the victim girl. I want to move on so bad I'll even be willing to be date raped by this guy. And then
and then you have Sam, who, because every Scream movie has to comment on something in the horror genre, this one is delving a little bit more into true crime and conspiracy theories. And somebody online is spreading a rumor that Sam was really the mastermind behind the last Woodsboro killings, and that she framed Richie and Amber from the last movie, which I think is a turn that was kind of really interesting for a Scream movie. Is something that hasn't been done in this series before.
Yeah, I like how when you go back and you do look at the Scream movies, bringing that up, how they will take in the real life things and try to play it into the movie. Like one of the movies, like I think this was in Scream 4, they tried to bring in like the whole live streaming aspect there. They brought that in there because that was a big update there. Because Twitch, I think, actually debuted in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. I think.
It was either Twitch that debuted in 2011 or it was the app that was the precursor to it. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
That came out when live streaming was a big thing. And of course, last year we had the popularization of elevated horror and of course the requels, which is why Scream 5 was just called Scream.
Yeah.
It's doing the Halloween and Candyman thing.
Yeah. So it's very nice. They kind of play into that in it kind of being, a horror movie that's a commentary on other horror movies. So I thought that was good. They brought in those real life things of the conspiracy theory stuff, of people thinking that Sarah was the real killer there. And then it's kind of interesting that they're kind of playing with, the whole kind of aspect of kind of the ghost face mask is talking to her. Like she's looking at that shit like Green Goblin, like William Dafoe looks at the Green Goblin. She's staring at it and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I thought, kind of an odd decision in the last movie where you got a digitally de-aged Skeet Ulrich as Sam's hallucinations of her father. And here they downplay it much more. You only see him in like reflection, kind of out of focus. And I think that actually makes the de-aging look even better.
Yeah. You see, there's a scene in the trailer where she's just like looking at the mask. Yeah, I didn't really.
She's staring. Avenge me!
I thought it was a little goofy the last when they brought back Skeet Ulrich to play Billy Loomis. They kind of de-aged him, and she has like these visions that he's talking to her and everything. I thought that was a little too far. I guess you got to continue it because that's what happened in the last movie. I guess. Here, I kind of did like that. She's got a mean streak to her. Like she a little off. She got a little kind of pearl in her,
A little bit. That scene where she's talking to her therapist, who is played by Henry, who was the dad in Ready or Not, which was cool to see him. She's talking about that. I stabbed Richie 27 times, slit his throat, and then shot him in the head. And Henry Cerny is just in that opposite chair, just, what the fuck have I gotten myself into?
Yeah.
And like the scariest thing about that scene is Sam is like, it felt right.
Yeah.
Which the only thing I thought of in that scene was, I can fix her.
Oh. I mean, like Chill mentioned in the chat, they were the sisters are baddies. The two sisters are baddies. Yeah. Were you ever suspicious of the boyfriend, her boyfriend who played by?
Of course. Of course. When we did the trailer breakdown, he was my first guess of Ghostface, mostly because I remember watching Arrow, and he played Prometheus in season 5 of that show, and ever since then, I do not trust that motherfucker anytime I see him on screen.
Yeah. So I thought he was pretty good here. You also have kind of some other kind of new additions here as well. You mentioned the returning characters. How'd you feel about Gail and Kirby? Because I felt like she had a little bit more to do, but Gail, I felt like they kind of just threw her in here. What do you think about the returning characters?
Gail, I thought it was kind of an odd choice to include her because she doesn't really, because her character just kind of resets every single movie. She says, you know what, I'm not going to write about this. I'm not going to profit off of these murders. And then in between movies, we found out she did.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting when you bring that up. And I think this is probably Cox's best performance as Gale Weathers in this franchise. And the whole scene where we're in her penthouse and she's fighting Ghostface, that scene is fucking amazing in terms of both its staging and its choreography.
Yeah.
And Kirby was one of my favorite new characters in the franchise. She is the absolute highlight of Scream 4, which is a movie I love. But I was kind of bummed out when her character got stabbed in the 4th movie. And I'm happy she's back, and it's great that she gets so much more to do. And I love how she plays off of the newer cast, where we actually get moments where she discusses what happened to her and why she's kind of gone down this path of joining the FBI.
Yeah. I thought that was very good. They bringing her back here. But the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie is not the first one. It is Dream Warriors.
That is true.
It is Dream Warriors.
I mean, that is true, but even last year, that was very much a love letter to Wes Craven. And I guess they said the first one because that was the one he directed. Even though I think New Nightmare is a better film.
Yeah, but Kirby was right in the movie when she said that the best Friday the 13th movie is the final chapter. That's
Part
right.
4.
Yeah.
Goddamn right. And also, Candyman, original or requel, both.
Why did you think? Because it's funny, like, so Jasmine Savoy Brown, who's Mindy, she's the other half of the twins here. She's basically the Randy character that you have in this movie. It's funny that when she says because there's a scene in the subway you see in the trailer, she gets stabbed. And the Jack Champion's with her, and she's like, then she automatically thinks, oh, it's not him. You would think at this point, most of them know that it's more than one person. It's at least sometimes it's only been one time ever. It's only been one person. I was in Scream 3. You would think they would know it's 2 or 3 people. So that kind of threw me off.
Yeah, it's literally always been 2 killers. But I think because in her mind she was looking right at him when she got stabbed, it's like, okay, it can't be him. And plus, even she said she's been really bad at calling out the killers.
Yeah, all that movie knowledge has just been for nothing.
even in that scene when the paramedics are coming, it's like, oh god, damn it, I got it wrong again.
Yeah, fuck this franchise, she said. Yeah. Yeah, and
and probably the biggest spoiler thing to discuss is that for as violently as a lot of them get it, like every single one of them gets stabbed multiple times, none of them die.
Yeah,
which they all make it to the end of the movie, even though, like, Mason Gooding basically got a prison shanking.
Like they held him there, and then they
held him, stabbed him, and then did the goddamn knife wipe in unison. Which
that was
in
the
theater.
Scene.
That shit was kind of badass.
That was pretty great. Yeah, but again, another thing with this being a horror movie,
but
it's like
that's also kind of a trademark of the original trilogy. I mean, how many times did Dewey get get viciously stabbed before they finally killed him in the last one.
Yeah, it's just that with these.
I mean, Gale got fucked up in them. Sydney gets fucked up in every one of these.
It's just that it's funny that there's so many times where they knock Ghostface down, and I'm like, bro, just keep hitting
Double
him.
tap.
Keep like what are you doing?
Well, there also was that scene in when Gale Weathers kind of had him down, and she was going for his knife, and she gets stabbed in the gut by the piece of glass. So I'm thinking that could be it.
Yeah.
That could be I'm not saying it's not egregious that they aren't just double tapping the shit out of Ghostface, but I can kind of get it because your idea is just run.
Yeah. And then the final sequence. What did you think about the final sequence climax? What do you think about that?
Awesome. Fucking awesome. It was kind of Sam embracing this other side of herself, which I thought Melissa Barrera pulls off incredibly. Like the intensity in her eyes as she's repeatedly stabbing Dermot Mulroney, it's kind of amazing. And the whole the Carpenters versus these assholes segment was really awesome. I think Jack Champion, he's really great at capturing kind of that Stu Macher-esque energy where he's just chewing up scenery and having a great time. And that whole segment of their arcs finally coming together of you have to let Tara be her own person and handle shit herself. And that kill was really satisfying when Jenna Ortega kills Jack Champion.
Yeah, because you see the look on Melissa Barrera's face when she shoots Quinn. Not Quinn. I'm sorry. That was her name, right? Quinn, right?
Yeah, it's Quinn. Yeah,
Quinn.
That was the character's name.
Yeah, Quinn. It has that kind of that look on her face there. Like that was like kind of that smile and that look like
that was cold.
Yeah, and just shoots her in the head. Yeah.
After this movie, Melissa Barrera has crossed into that Mia Goth territory where, god damn, she is gorgeous, but I am also kind of terrified of her.
So, what do you think they're gonna do for Scream 7? What do you get some ideas? What do you think they're gonna do?
Ooh, Scream 7. I'm trying to think what is like the new thing in horror.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a joke. There was like kind of like a joke on the poster where they had Stab the musical, which I'm kind of sad didn't play a part in this. I don't know. Maybe Scream 7 is a musical.
I don't know. I mean, new thing in horror is now, I guess, I don't know, crazy ass women. That's the new thing. You could bring some crazy ass women in there. Has there ever been like a strictly just female Ghostface? I mean, we had a woman Ghostface in this, but she was a part of a crew.
Yeah, she was a part of a crew, but Jill from Scream 4. She was from Scream 4 and Scream 3. Nancy Loomis from Scream 2.
Yeah, so yeah, you have that. And then so you had that. So you had those. So I wonder if they'll do maybe that again. Or it seems like they're trying to turn maybe her into a villain, like Melissa Barrera. Maybe she's gonna be, maybe switch in there. You have
that entire sequence at the very end where she is holding Billy Loomis' Ghostface mask and staring at it for a really long time. That was really interesting. And in the theater when I was watching it, it kind of made me think, oh shit, is that conspiracy theory real?
I don't know. I mean, and to see who they'll probably bring back, because I saw an interview where they said, like, I don't know, Jill Roberts could. I was like, if you don't see a body, maybe she could be back. They talked about that.
I mean, she got headshotted, I think, in Scream.
Okay, and then you see in this movie that Kirby mentions how Stu may be out there somewhere. It's like allegedly he's dead, which I don't know how they're gonna play that.
So I think they could do that. That is a cool idea, which is one of the rejected ideas from Scream 3. But rewatching the movies today, Stu Macher is not smart enough to pull that off.
Right. That's what I thought. But I was like, and also, did he just disappear? They never find his body. Like, how do you play the fact that he's not dead or in jail? Like, how do you play that? But I don't know.
I mean, the way the film opens, it kind of had an interesting where you're more exploring that toxic fandom aspect and radicalization on the internet, where we get the opening kill, which I think is awesome, which is Samara Weaving, who I called as one of the ghost faces in this, and I'm happy to be wrong. And she gets killed by a Ghostface, and then the first time we see it in the movie is we see Ghostface pull off the mask, and it's Tony Revolori, who was in a Spider-Man Homecoming, and we see this very long sequence of this dude just walking about town.
Yeah, I mean that was a good.
And then
opening,
another Ghostface calls. It's probably my favorite opening of one of the Scream movies since it is doing something so completely different. And we get little hints that these guys were a part of the Stab subreddit that are planning to kill Sam and Tara. So that could be interesting to see if that comes back in another sequel. But just off of the strength of how big an improvement this was over the last movie, I'm down for whatever Radio Silence does with this franchise.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see what they do. So maybe Melissa Barrera is going to be a villain. Jenna Ortega's blowing up right now, so I don't think they're going to kill her anytime soon. She's, and then so they might make her maybe the face of the franchise, make her the new big screen queen over Melissa Barrera. I don't know. So that's kind of interesting there. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. Maybe Sydney will come back. Neve Campbell, it'd be maybe cool to see her come back. Or maybe not. I mean, I don't think she has to.
Honestly, after seeing this movie, because that was one of my big Neve Campbell is such the face and heart and soul of this franchise that I was a little worried that she wasn't coming back. But Scream 5, in the same way that Creed was, it was the passing of the torch of the franchise. And really, you don't need Sydney, even though they have an actual like in-universe reason why she's like not wanting to get involved with this anymore. She actually married Patrick Dempsey's character from Scream 3, and now they have kids together. So she's like, "Fuck this, I'm out."
Yeah, that's true. It makes sense. So she got her ending. She didn't need to come back, so she's kind of got her.
Yeah, and that character deserves it. And more so, what do you even do with Sydney anymore?
Yeah. True. I mean, that's very true. Some good moments in this movie. I thought in Scream 6. I like the moment where Gail gets attacked and she hangs up the phone, calls back, and then the phone rings and then she I like that.
That was such a great moment, and Ghostface on the other one.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Yeah. So, some kind of good stuff there. I like what they do. When Gail first shows up and they do a callback to Scream 1 and Scream 2.
Yeah, she dodges Melissa Barrera's pop. Like it decks her.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty good there. But yeah. All right, so that was spoiler talk for Scream 6. Did you give a rating?
Yeah. For my rating, I recognize that this is I am very biased and very pro this franchise, even though I think all of these films have their own flaws in some way. Like some acting choices in the first one aren't great. The second one has that really awkward scene with Jerry O'Connell singing in the dining hall. Scream 3 is Scream 3, and 4 I think is kind of weak in it. 4, I think it's kind of weak in its side characters and kind of the believability of who the Ghostface is. Besides Jill Roberts, I think her accomplice is kind of really that guy. And 5, I think the side characters are kind of weak in their characterization. Not that it's any of the actors' fault. I just think that the script was too busy trying to juggle giving them their own story and tying back with the original cast. And Scream 6 improves on everything that I loved about Scream 5, including its amazing set pieces, its intense direction, even the performances and the chemistry with all the characters. I absolutely loved this movie. This is probably, besides the first one, I would probably put this as my second favorite Scream movie.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I had a great old time with it. I dug the hell out of it. This is a strong tune-in.
Yeah, I gave it a tune-in myself. I think my second favorite Scream movie after the first one, 1996, is probably Scream 4. And then I'll probably put this one. I'll probably put this one third.
I think I have it Scream 1, now Scream 6, Scream 2, Scream 4, and Scream 5, and then Scream 3.
Yeah, you scream, I scream, we all scream for ice cream. There we go. There we go. Box office. Scream 6 scares up franchise best $44 million debut. So the franchise best.
Hey,
Well,
that fucking marketing team was working overtime, because some of the best posters I've seen in recent memory have all come out of this, especially the one where it's like the subway map that is shaped like Ghostface. The one where it is basically Ghostface takes Manhattan.
yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's what I'm going to title the video. Ghostface takes my hand. That's what I'm going to do for the title of the video. Yeah. So, Scream 6.